Hi, my name is Justin Speller, and I'm the creator of the Lyme Disease Healing Protocol. So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about what happens in the first session of the healing protocol. So what's important to understand is that you got the Lyme disease for a reason. It's serving you on some level, and although it's not serving you on a surface level, it is serving you on a deeper soul level. So the Lyme, it's trying to teach you something. It's trying to help you learn and grow and become the next highest and best version of yourself. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, well, what is it trying to teach me and how do I learn that? Well, in the first session, we're going to explore exactly what the Lyme is trying to teach you. And we're going to find out if you have any blocks or sabotaging patterns that are preventing you from really getting the learning, really getting and integrating whatever the learning is on all levels. So that's what we're going to work on in the first session. Now, let me give you an example of how that might look. So let's say that the learning for you is to learn to never sell yourself short and to pursue your interests and your passions and really live your dreams no matter how different or out there they might seem. So let's say this is the learning. Now let's explore sabotaging patterns that might be preventing you from really getting and integrating that learning on all levels. So let's say that when you were much younger and you were in elementary school, you had to do a project and you decided to approach this project a little differently. You decided to kind of think outside the box and come at it from an unusual angle. Now, let's say that your teacher wanted you to do it a very specific and rigid way, but that's not what you wanted to do, so you tried something else. Now, you put all this work into it and then you turned it in, and the teacher got really upset at you and gave you an F. So then you went home to your parents and you told them that you got the F, and then let's say your dad just blew up at you, started screaming and yelling at you and said, listen, it is not okay to fail. Failure is not okay. And then let's say he punished you in some way. From that experience, from that incident, you learned that it is not okay to fail. Now, this can become an energy that stays inside you as a belief and really prevents you from, as an adult, trying things that you might really want to do, but you're worried about failing. So this is how a pattern, a sabotaging pattern, in this case a belief, can prevent you from really getting whatever the lesson is, whatever the soul lesson is. In this case, to just learn to not sell yourself short and really live your dreams and pursue your interests, no matter how different or strange they might seem, or how out of the norm they might seem. Let's look at another pattern that could be preventing you from fully getting and integrating this particular learning. So let's say that when you were younger, you had a group of friends, and these friends were pretty mainstream, and you had some interests that were a little bit more eclectic, a little different, and at one point when you raised these interests with your social circle, they judged you very harshly, very negatively, and made fun of you, and you felt really bad, and it felt really bad, and you started to worry that they would even potentially reject you, and you wouldn't have these friends anymore if you continue to do these things and talk about them with your friends. So you're in a little bit of what we call a double bind situation. It's kind of like a catch-22. And basically, it's like if you were to get what you wanted, which was to be able to really enjoy and pursue these different interests you have, things would turn out even worse because then you could lose your entire social circle, right? Now, let's say this pattern continued into adulthood, and now you're thinking about actually creating a whole separate career in some of these interests and passions that you have that aren't necessarily mainstream. But now you're again worried about jeopardizing and losing your social circle, which is so important. So you're kind of stuck. You're in this stuck situation, and we call it a double bind, but it's really like a catch-22, right? So this is how this sabotaging pattern could also prevent you from fully getting and integrating the soul lesson of basically to never sell yourself short, to pursue your dreams, to live your dreams, no matter how different they are from what other people consider normal. If you're passionate about it, you can't sell yourself short, right? So let me give you another example. So let's say that the learning for you is to learn how to create a healthy romantic relationship. Now, let's look at some patterns that could potentially block you from doing this. Let's say, for example, that your mother growing up was very neglectful. She didn't give you the attention that you needed. She didn't give you the love. She didn't pay attention to you and give you the love that you really needed and craved as a child, that we all need and we all crave, right? And she was just self-absorbed and just focused on herself and didn't have any time for you. So this can create a need in you to get that love and appreciation. And what can happen is, now let's say you're a teenager and you're beginning to date, and as soon as anyone shows you even the smallest amount of appreciation and interest, you immediately fall in love with them, right? And then you end up creating this series of unhealthy relationships because you're unable to be selective, because as soon as anyone shows interest, you immediately fall in love with them, okay? So this is one example of how trauma, a pattern from your childhood, could in adulthood continue to block you from getting the soul lesson or the learning. Let's look at another possible pattern. Let's say your mother was neglectful, but your father was also quite neglectful, okay? Let's say that your father was not home very often, but when he was really angry, he was really mean, and he was scary, and he would yell at you a lot, right? So what this can create is a fear of losing yourself in relationship, because let's say when your father came around, you lost touch with some of the parts of yourself that you really valued, like your tenderness or your sensitivity or your gentleness or your ability to be loving, right? Because you were responding to your father's harsh energy, you felt like you had to hide this part of yourself, and you would lose touch with this part of yourself in that relational dynamic. So then that sets you up for later in life feeling like you can't be in a relationship without eventually losing this part of yourself. So then what can happen is you can unconsciously sabotage yourself by attracting relationships that you know are doomed to fail at some point, right? So this way you're protecting yourself from ever having to lose yourself in relationship like you used to with your father. So this is another example of how you can have patterns of sabotage that really block you from fully learning and integrating whatever the soul lesson is for the Lyme disease. Okay, now most likely the two learnings I just described are not the ones for you. So whatever yours is, we'll find what it is, and we'll find whatever patterns you have that are preventing you from fully learning and integrating it on all levels. And then once we do that, then we can move on to the next step, which is to do the physical energetic process of beginning to clear the Lyme out of your system. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to working with you.